Yeah, you read the title right. This iPhone 13 Pro Max is the worst iPhone to get for the long term. Before I do get into it though, a little bit of context and history about my time with this phone. So I've been using this iPhone 13 Pro Max 128 gig Sierra Blue or some light blue color, I forgot the name, but this awesome blue color for the past 4 months, and it's been a really nice experience. The design is clearly a 9 out of 10. I mean, just look at that. That's so nice. The cameras on this thing are just crazy. The solid 9 out of 10, you know, with like Pro RAW and Pro Res and all this crazy stuff built in. And the number one thing that I admire about this device, and it's not even a huge thing, sort of, is the battery life. It literally has schedule changing battery life, meaning it changes the way that I charge this phone. It's that good. It easily lasts me a day, and if I really want to push it, then it definitely lasts me 2 days. It's really good. However, there are a few fundamental aspects about this iPhone that make it the worst iPhone to get, in my opinion, of all the iPhones that are out right now for you to buy. Those are the display, well, not really, I'll get into it in a bit. The I/O, meaning the lightning port, meaning no USB-C, I think you know where I'm going with this. And the overall boring and sort of conventional design. It's like a slab of glass and metal just built in like this. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a boring design, in my opinion at least, and probably the opinions of a lot of other people. If you agree, let me know down in the comment section. If those 3 fundamental things about this iPhone did not exist or just were fixed somehow, randomly, magically, then this video you're watching probably wouldn't exist. But unfortunately, they do, and I'm gonna have to tell you right now. Starting with the display / the notch. But before we get into the notch, I want to talk a little bit about the display. It's a huge 6.7 inch 1440p LTPO 120Hz refresh rate display. That's a lot of words, but basically it's probably the best in terms of color accuracy, saturation levels, viewing angles, and perceived smoothness. It gets to a maximum of 1200 nits of peak brightness, which is incredibly helpful on sunny days in the wintertime when the snow is just killing your eyes and you're not able to see anything. And it's overall a really good phone for content consumption in general. All these factors are awesome, but in 2022, a notch is something that cannot be ignored. Every other phone, which is to say every Android phone, has either a hole punch display or their front-facing camera inside their display, like underneath the display, which is just crazy, by the way. And for security authentication, they either have the fingerprint, again, underneath the display, or simply on the power button. How hard is that to do, Apple? Like, get rid of the notch, get rid of Face ID, bring back Touch ID on the power button, like with the iPads. A notch just overall hinders the content consumption experience. And with a screen this nice, I don't want a big ass notch to take up such a significant portion of this display. Like, it's awesome, but then you see the notch and you're like, oh, it's not that awesome. And of course, Face ID is useless unless you have an Apple Watch, but again, you have to depend on an Apple Watch. So you have to like spend $400 more or whatever, $300 more to get an Apple Watch, just so that Face ID works with a mask on. And in some cases, Face ID is indeed less reliable than a fingerprint scanner. As great as the display really is, it's a really nice display, as long as it has that big notch on the front top, it's just gonna hinder too much of the experience up until the point where even mediocre displays beat out this display just because of the design, not even the technology or the color accuracy or anything else that I talked about previously. If it has a huge notch like this, taking up so much of the display, it's not going to win any awards. Enough about the display though, moving on to I/O. So let's rewind a little bit back when Apple removed the headphone jack off of their iPhone. Now this was obviously a power move and no one liked it at the time. Everyone was complaining, everyone had their headphone jack headphones, and they were like, what the hell do I do with this now? And so Apple provided the solution of the lightning headphones, or that little dongle that we all kept losing. But over time, as humans do, we adapted, we got our Bluetooth headphones, we got our adapters. We're not really complaining about it as much anymore. In 2022 though, most, if not all products, including Apple's own products like their MacBooks, their iPads, and various others, include a USB-C port as their primary or additional I/O port, which is just, it boggles my mind. You know why? Because Apple chooses to include a lightning port in their iPhones. It is an inconvenience for some more than others, because if you travel to and from work or to and from a country or something like that, and you just want to carry one cable around, you can't really, because you have to carry two, because you have to carry more than one, because the lightning port. Carrying more than one cable in a world where carrying just one cable is possible to do, like for example, if you had an Android phone, you could easily do that. But if you have an iPhone, you have to carry two cables, at least. It's like Apple is playing catch up, but in reality, we all know that they have the resources and the means to be able to include USB-C in their iPhones. And it's not like the design of the iPhone is too thin or anything like that anymore. It's perfectly thick enough, or thin enough, however you want to portray it, to include a USB-C port. So it's not a matter of space or anything, or resources. They can easily do it. It's just they're not. And it's a little bit frustrating. Just a little bit. So that's the second fundamental reason why I think the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the worst iPhone to get for the long term. Now moving on to the third and final reason, and I'm sure you're tired of the negativity in this video, it's the design of this iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's a very conventional design, like it's just a slab of glass and aluminum, and it doesn't stand out from anywhere. This design that Apple introduced was first introduced 5 years ago with the release of the iPhone X, and I know that they changed it from like a curved design and stuff like that to a squarish design, but still it holds the same sort of characteristics. You know, like camera in the corner, Apple logo, glass, power button on the right side, volume buttons on the left side with the mute switch, speakers on the bottom with the charging port in the middle, and that famous notch that I love so much. So yeah, this is a pretty quick point. The design is pretty conventional, and if you don't mind the boring design, then this isn't much of a problem for you. So back to the question. Should you get this phone, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, in 2022? Well, the simple answer is no, you shouldn't. The longer answer is also no, because it's not much different from the previous iterations of iPhone. Like I said, this design was first introduced 5 years ago in 2017, and it's still very similar. So this means that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is not necessarily future-proof, meaning that you shouldn't expect to use this phone for a long time and still expect the same experience that you were getting at the beginning when you first got this phone. And now the biggest reason why I'm telling you not to get this iPhone right now for the long term is because the price of this specific iPhone, the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The price of this iPhone starts at $1,549 Canadian, which is a lot of money. You can get an iPhone 12 for $800 and get the AirPods 3 for $239 and get an Apple Watch SE for $369 and still have enough money left. Just a little perspective on what you can do if you're not greedy like me and you've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So yeah, final verdict, you shouldn't get this phone in 2022 if you expect to use it for a long time, like 2 years, 3 years from now. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like on this video and sharing it with your friends and family. Click on that nice little subscribe button down below, colored in red. It's right there, you can't miss it. And let me know in the comment section down below what you would do knowing all of this, what you'd know after watching the video. Would you still buy an iPhone 13 Pro Max and expect to use it for the long term, or just skip it and go for the next one, or go for an Android phone? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which will hopefully be soon. Bye.